This is the Ink, Pray, Love podcast. We talk all things health, wealth, and community connection. Let's go. Welcome to this episode of the Ink, Pray, Love podcast. We are here in Bali, Indonesia at the Lighthouse Studios, the premier space to shoot a podcast, an audio book, whatever that you got going on, a course, whatever it is, come here, shoot it, and enjoy the beautiful Bali life where you get to meet epic people like this wonderful lady I just met today for the first time. And as we were connecting on what to talk about today, because I heard a lot about you, but the conversation took a very wild turn and an interesting turn. One that I didn't expect, that I'm wildly enthused and excited it's going down that route. Please introduce yourself so I don't butcher your name again. It's very Dutch, I'm sorry. And what do you do?
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. So my name is Jet van Wijk and originally from the Netherlands, but now I've lived in and about Bali for 4 years, traveled a lot. Originally from a very small town in Netherlands. And after getting out of corporate job, I started online businesses, and now here in Bali doing some real estate as well. Yeah.
All right. Okay. And what is your mission in the next little while of your life, and what was your mission? Where did you go? Where'd you come from? Where are you going?
Yeah. So coming out of a very corporate job in London, the 9 to 5 that I was doing was literally in the basement, so no windows, no natural air, And I wanted freedom. I realized that I wanted to travel and I wanted to be remote. So I tried every way there was to work online, anything you can imagine, and I failed at many things. But then eventually I became an influencer and travel blogger. And I was really crushing it, traveling through Asia and making beautiful content. But then I stopped that because it was so toxic for my mental health. And then I was like, okay, what can I do now? I still want to have this remote life, but just not tied to being famous or needing that attention. And then I looked at all the failures and I realized I gained digital skills. So that's when I started becoming freelancer, and I offered my services to businesses such as social media marketing and copywriting. And I scaled that into an agency. And years later, I started with e-learning, so information products. And that is now where I really built this multi-7-figure business. Got the privilege to be on some epic stages recently. And also part of Rhonda's book, who is also your dear friend. So some amazing opportunities have come now the last year because of 4 years of trying to work online. Yeah,
I love that. Yeah. Shout out to Rhonda Swan, the boss mama, CEO, Dragon that I love. That is super cool and interesting to hear that. And what I loved about you accomplishing so much and going on this journey and going from being an influencer to then wanting different things in life. Because I feel like I've been going through a little bit of that. I never was an influencer. I always would bug people and be like, I'm influential. I'm not an influencer. Yeah. There's a difference here. Yeah. But that was me having a big ego about it. And also I'm doing the same shit. I'm putting out content, hoping people like it. And if they do like it, it's like cocaine. You're like, fuck yeah, give me those likes. Like, yeah, like it's like go viral. And then if it doesn't, you're like, oh, does anybody like me? Am I okay? Am I good enough? And it's this whole like crazy toxic cycle. And more time on the platform, I feel like, is ruining my mind. Yeah. And so I really see it and feel it. And I just got out of a meditation retreat where I had 5 days in silence and no phone. And I was like, this is dope. Like, trees are great. Look at this flower.
Exactly. It's like mom is right. It is the damn phone, right?
It is. It really is. It really is. Except my mom's sucked in.
Oh, okay.
My dad's like, he'll take a week to respond to your text, but my mom is like sucked into her phone too. Wow. So it got her. And she's worse than me. And I'm like, you got to stop that. She's like, I'm watching TikToks on cooking. I'm like, no, you're not. Like, you're watching just TikToks on stuff.
Yeah.
It has nothing to do with your life.
Exactly.
So it's like really crazy how the phone's sucking us in. And so I was also now wanting to go through a shift of getting a little bit more offline and not having to pressure to put out content, and just like I just see it's not good for my mind. I don't like it anymore. I don't want that to be the rest of my life,
exactly,
or even the next couple of years of my life. I'd like to unplug from that. So you went through a bit of the stage. What I liked when we were catching up was about you thinking maybe you boss babed too hard. And I love that statement.
Yeah.
I feel like we should call the podcast that one, because it's just adult. When you said that, I was like, oh, that's good. I like that. Explain to me about you boss babing too hard.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So I think where that comes from is actually social media. This statement, I see a lot of kind of viral trends and things like this of yeah, kind of female entrepreneurs maybe being let's say shat on for realizing that they built their businesses and that now they kind of actually don't want to work so much. They rather work less and they actually rather be a housewife or a mom, and that's kind of where the statement come from, where I was like, it's actually kind of a true statement in a way, because we feel often, I think, especially now in this generation, as women, that we have to build these businesses, we have to make x amount of money ourselves, and it pushes us so much into this masculine frame of like needing to hit sales KPIs, needing to build this business, needing to make this amount of money, that it takes us away from, I think, our true nature, which is being more and less doing. And I realized that, wow, okay, now I'm at the stage as well where I realize, okay, Jet, do you want to keep building companies? Or do you actually, what gives you fulfillment? What's going to make you really happy? And I also realized, okay, actually, I am excited now about becoming a young mom. Whereas when I was in that corporate job, my whole mindset was, okay, I'm going to work and build a career until I'm 32. And then maybe at 32, I will have kids. I first want to focus on my career. And that completely changed because I achieved my career goals early. And then I achieved everything financially and, things like that I wanted to. And that's when I had the realization of like, actually, I want to be a mom. I want to be a wife. And also just seeing how this whole hustle culture that I went into, and I think we hear this a lot, like high performance, right? Like waking up at 5 a.m., doing the ice baths, deep working, this, that is all created and designed for men, actually. Because you guys have testosterone for like very steady levels. We have more testosterone only a few days a month, depending on our cycle. So I adapted into this very masculine high performance. I did the 5 a.m. wake up for 2 years. And that's where I built the majority of my business. So it was great. But at the same time, I could see like how it was affecting my skin, my health, how it was making me feel. And just realizing like, this is not what I want. I don't want to live this super, masculine, let's say, way of living to make money. And realizing that I think it's already unhealthy for me now when I was doing it. So imagine trying to become pregnant and having that amount of stress because of your business, because of sales, because of KPIs. And that was my realization. Like, first of all, in general, I don't think I want to, have this super pushy type of business and way of living. And the second one is, I want to be a mom, but I would definitely not want to be under this stress and change my whole body by becoming pregnant and taking care of a child, So yeah, that was a recent, I would say, pretty big 360 for me. That first I was like all about, we should have it all, build your own business, and now I'm like, actually, when you're there and when you see what it takes, I don't think I want to have it all.
Yeah.
I think I want to just, when I'm pregnant, I want to just enjoy being pregnant. Yeah.
It's really interesting hearing you say that. And I think it's a relief because it's coming from such a grounded place of just like when I hear like some women being like, I just want to be a housewife. And they say it, but that's all they don't really do much else. And you're like, yeah, okay. But then when you have like an actual boss babe, as you proclaimed it, which you are, but I mean like, like you're already a very capable human. And then to be choosing one of the most important jobs, the most important job on the planet, is being a good mother. And it's like, okay, that's it's coming from a different place. So I got mad respect for you for that. It's very cool. And I really like hearing your perspective on this because it's super interesting because there's so much of this like toxic femininity, down with the patriarchy kind of stuff, as well as, just gender roles obviously being a really hot topic right now. It's really so much around this topic. What's your opinion on that, on the men and women and the role that you want to play?
I mean, also that changed a lot. So I'm from the Netherlands. As you know, I'm Dutch. So growing up there, I think even in my family we have certain gender roles, as in like my mom does cook most of the time, my dad has a business, he works. Um, but other than that, a lot of the relationships I had when I was younger, it was always 50-50, or if not more, that actually I was paying for a lot of things or arranging a lot of things. And I think that also, yeah, just the way that maybe the Dutch culture is, it does push us as well to be more masculine, to grab your own suitcase or whatever, you know? Whereas actually, in terms of, yeah, bringing in money and things like this, we are also in an economy now where you need two household incomes to be able to
Totally.
afford and live, you know? And I'm talking about regular 9 to 5s, not necessarily entrepreneurs, because that's also a different story. Um, but yeah, growing up there, I do feel like I had this view of, yeah, if I'm not going to wait for a man to take care of me and my family, because around me I was just observing that that was not happening in terms of the people I was dating or the guys I was, getting to know. So I was like, okay, I have to build a business. If I want to make sure my family is going to be fine forever, whatever happens, it needs to come from me. And that's why I actually started businesses. So I feel like that drive to do that came from the society that we are in now. Whereas we spoke about this as well, I think Bridgerton, a lot of people will know it.
She's like, "Do you
And
know Bridgerton?" I'm like,
I love this show. I
"Is the
love it.
Shakespeare black dating show?"
Yeah.
Because I have like no idea. But I've seen the photos like on
Yeah.
Netflix. So I'm like, the
Yeah, yeah.
Shakespeare black dating show,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
And it's like, not really.
No, not really. But yeah, so it's like, like back in the day when there was more this courtship, and you see in this series, and obviously that time that they are referencing to, that yeah, women were focusing on learning instruments, languages, developing their arts, and at the same time also learning how to be a good mom and all of
Yeah.
these things. And again, more the energy of being, just being a beautiful woman. And the men were focusing on developing whatever, hunting, riding, stuff like this, right? And at that time, it was true. If you were, pretty and a good woman, you would marry a good man, and the men would also take care of your family. But now we don't live there in that time, in that generation. So I feel like that is also why there's such a big influx in female entrepreneurs, because we have the feeling we have to.
Yeah.
And feminism kind of brought us there as well.
And I think dudes are getting real soft in just and less skilled. Like there's just so much more this like generation of beta males playing video games and not really becoming like at that same time period, dudes were like warriors, poets, saints, fucking they were doing all these things at once. They're
Yes,
Renaissance
yeah,
men
as
type of
well, yeah.
situation. Like samurais would be calligraphy artists and chop your head off
Yeah,
and
exactly.
and create a haiku and tea master
Yeah.
and all these things. So you're like
Yeah.
they were doing some shit.
Yeah.
Whereas now it's like it's a different
Mhm.
culture, I feel like, for men just really being sucked into like porn and video games and just pacification and low testosterone levels and all sorts of things. So I think it's like a different thing. And then also school, like a huge majority of women graduating college
Yeah.
and university post-secondary than men. So
Yeah.
men aren't really getting that educated anymore. Whereas obviously 30 years ago, it was the opposite.
Yeah,
Women
true.
barely went to
Yeah.
post-secondary, weren't allowed or whatever it was.
Yeah.
It wasn't the norm. Whereas now it's
Yeah.
the opposite. So there's much more intelligent and skilled women out there
Mhm.
and much less intelligent, less skilled dudes out there.
Yeah.
It's this weird dynamic I'm seeing where it's like
Yeah.
there's lots of boss babes. There's also a bunch of beta dudes, being pretty like not the best representation of our human race, I feel like. So it's like this weird
Yeah.
imbalance.
Yeah.
And I feel like you're the alpha in the dating. So I was like really curious about like what's your dating like? Like I know we just met. It's like very personal questions. Like what's your dating like? Like tell me how it is on the apps. Tell me how it is if you are on any. I don't want to make any assumptions, but like what's that like? Because if you're already the boss babe, you're already doing well and having multi 7-figure businesses, and then you got to go in the dating pool with a bunch of these beta ass dudes running around. Like, what's that like?
It's interesting, especially here in Bali, I
Sure.
can say. But
dating in Bali is crazy in general, let alone if you're a boss.
It is.
Yeah.
So I think the funny thing is, so 4 years ago when I just started entrepreneurship, I don't think I achieved that much stuff. I've self-published a book, some stuff like this. And that was what I was listing in my bio. to look interesting, I guess.
Sure, of course.
So I was like, author of this, I am a marketing agency owner, da 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 da. That is a very masculine way of portraying yourself. It's by your achievements.
Yeah.
Now I approach dating so different. So my bio actually is more about my feminine qualities. I don't actually say what I do. I actually try not to be found. So it's not even Jet. I go by my full name, which
Okay.
people can know, but you know.
Yeah, sure.
So because I don't want people to check me out and know right away how much I make or what I do. And I want to find a partner because I want to be a wife and a mom, not because I want to build more businesses, right? So it's like, I think in the end of the day, dating is also marketing yourself.
100%.
So I market myself in a way of what I actually hope to find. So I think my dating profile even say dating to marry.
Yeah.
Because I'm just not, I'm like, if it scares someone off, good. It means probably I'm not for you.
That's good marketing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that. I like that. I like dating to marry is a good thing to have on your profile. So that's a win.
Yeah.
I'm curious because you're then in some viewpoints might think that you're downplaying your accomplishments.
My ego was saying that.
Yeah.
That was a hard one to get over.
Sure.
And even meeting people, you know, like I try not right away to say I do this, I have that, blah blah blah, just because I want them to know me for my personality, my characteristics, the things I do, the things I enjoy. But it's true, in your head, it's kind of like, it feels like sometimes you're dumbing it down.
Yeah.
But I think it's a good thing to protect myself.
This is very interesting.
Because it doesn't attract, you know, because it could also be that men could be going to me because they think I have money.
Yeah, like a male gold digger.
Yeah.
I mean, gold digger doesn't seem like it has a gender assigned to it, but it's assumed it's the other way around, right?
Yeah.
But is there male gold diggers, like Mr. Gold Digger? Like it's a thing. And so I get where you're coming from. And then the other aspect of it is, I'm trying to think of it from my perspective. And if I seen, okay, like an accomplished female doing stuff, I'm like, fuck, that's fucking cool.
Yeah.
Like boss, great. Like I like capable human. That's something I really I admire a lot, is if someone's a capable human, they've done some shit, means they've been through some shit.
Yeah.
And if they've been through some shit, there's wisdom there. And so I'm like, I like love that. Especially like with my female friends, I love that they're accomplished. I like Rhonda and me are so close because she's a fucking boss. And I just love our energy together. I don't think like Rhonda and I would be compatible. Because we're both like, oh you know, so it's like, I get it.
Yeah.
So I think friendship wise, I understand. And I'm seeing this I'm trying to steel man the argument from both sides of me. So there's like the male side of me that's like, well, I'm already the dragon, like I'm already the alpha. So would two alphas work in that sense? Or like, does the male need to be more alpha than the female? Or would you be attracted to a guy who's making less than you? And you know, in that sense, like, would that work? Because I've never been in a situation where I dated a girl that made more money than me.
Yeah.
I don't know how I'd react. But I think I'd be cool with it, and I'd be like, my girl's a boss. Like it's fucking cool. I'd be like, fucking great. Like I'd think it'd be cool.
Yeah.
I don't think that it would make me insecure. I feel like I'd be more congratulatory and inspired by that situation. I think. I haven't been there, so I don't know. But I think, because I'm around a lot of other women who make much more than me, and I just think they're fucking cool, and I just enjoy it, and I respect them. But I also feel like I am. I'm secure in my sexuality. I'm secure in my myself, that I'm like, I know I'm great. Like it's okay. Like the money thing is just one thing, but also there's all these other things that I think I bring to the table that are outside of money.
Yeah.
Like I'm really funny. I know things, but you know what I mean? And so like,
totally.
and so I'm trying to steel man this argument on your end. So, okay, would you be attracted to dude who made much less money than you?
So physically you can be attracted, I think, to, you don't see their wallet above their head. Not yet, you know, we're not there yet.
Sure.
But so of course, physically, I think you can be attracted to anyone. Doesn't matter what they make. But I think for, again, that type of energy, the feminine masculine balance, for me, I think I have tried dating people who make less than me. I've tried dating people who there's potential, but are you going to wait for potential? I think potential is good if it's backed by action. Then I think it could be worth waiting for. Like if someone made half of what I make, for example, and I could see they're really on it, maybe I could be the factor that helps them, you know, by my knowledge or communication support. And then I think then you can fall in love with potential. But if it's not backed by action, then I think it's very dangerous because you're
Sure.
going to wait for something.
Yep.
And for me, realizing, okay, I'm very ambitious. So it's true. My friends say, Jet, I don't think you can ever not do anything. It's true.
I get it.
I'm not going to lie to you. I've also spoken to men who said, no, I really want my future wife to only be a wife and only be a mom, and like she cannot do anything else. That's not for me as well. But I would love to do more things like a podcast or speaking, or maybe I'm working on building a charity right now.
Cool.
Like it's passion projects. It's not you need to hit this many KPIs, this many sales. That is very masculine, the numbers and the really that doing. I would love to still have my ambitions and my projects, but at the same time, my main focus is the family. So I got sidetracked. But going back to if I would date someone who makes less money than me, so I could, and I think love is love, so I cannot exclude it. But I do believe it will be easier to date someone who makes more or has the potential in the next few years to make the same, because I think otherwise I will never stop working. Plus, I wouldn't want to downgrade my current lifestyle as well, or my family, right?
No, that's not an option.
So it makes the dating pool smaller.
Yeah.
And then me being, from the Netherlands, so a little bit tall.
I swear to God, when
like
I first met you, I was like,
1%,
You're almost my height. When you walked in, I was like, oh, you're way taller than I expected. It was like and I was trying not to look surprised when you first meet somebody. Like,
But you're taller than me, though.
Yeah. I am, but I was like, oh wow, that was my first thought. It's great. But so there's like a few factors there. It's like he's got to be a tall boss. You got to get some CEO energy up in that. So there's a big guy that's going to be it. What's your type?
So I actually don't think I have a specific type, to be honest. Like I'm really, open. And at the same time, that is my main requirement is height. And I know there are some people who also date, shorter guys, or even marry shorter guys, and it's okay. But for me, I love wearing heels. I love like feeling cute and small. So far, I've only, dated and had relationships with people who are very tall. So it's that. And I feel like after that, it is being an entrepreneur and business owner in general, because I don't think I could be with a 9-to-5 corporate lawyer or, like someone not having their own business. Because two things. Yes, it's also for a certain lifestyle I would want to maintain. But at the same time, it's also just very attractive to me if someone is a business owner, because it means they have certain qualities and disciplines that, I'm just attracted to.
That's very interesting. Yeah, I feel bad for the short guys, man. I got love for them.
Sorry, I love short kings, but
but you're what, like 5'11", 5'10"?
I think 5'9", so 180 centimeters. But the sandals is like
you didn't see him 5'9" vibes when you rocked up. I was also sitting down, so I was like, oh my god, he rocked up on me. That's super interesting. So what was it like? Have you had a few dates where the money thing came up? I'm trying to see, is there dudes who get mad insecure about the situation? So like how does a guy handle this?
I don't think it's insecure, but I think the longer you date or you're together, you're gonna notice it, even if you say you don't. Like it will not happen.
It has to be talked about.
Because it's more like, so in the beginning it could be like, no, I'm a traditional man, I will, pay for everything. But then you get further down the line, and then these things do come up when it's like, for example, you go on a trip somewhere. It's like, okay, can you book the hotel? Can you book the flights?
Yeah.
And it's like, yes, I am capable. But I do think this is an energy thing. And it starts with that. And then it goes down. And it's at some point that, I end up paying for the majority of things, So it's these small things. And I think, again, it's the same with lifting a suitcase. I wanted to be a police officer, Okay. I love survival. I go to the gym. I deadlift, like I love that stuff too. So it doesn't mean I'm not capable of lifting this sofa there, but it means that I like to stay in my feminine. And if there's a man, I think it's nicer if he does it. Plus he will feel good. He will feel as masculine. He's helping me. He's like, you know what I mean? So it's more, I do think this is also an energy thing. It's not just about money or an amount of money. It's more about this energy exchange.
Yeah.
Plus, I do also think it is kind of this question of what does a man bring to my table if we're talking about my life. If I'm going to be the one that pays for stuff, I'm also running a business. I'm also the one who is capable of making a beautiful baby. So,
Some high standards, yeah,
you
yeah.
know, that's the question here. And I feel like on social media, it gets flipped so much. It's like guys asking girls, like, what do you bring to the table? I mean, I'm sorry. Is your body stretching like how many times as much, making a whole human being?
Mhm.
And then obviously, you know, all of that, what comes after giving birth, a lot of it is with the mother that you know, she breastfeeds the baby, all of these things. It is something that we have been given biologically, and from whatever you believe in, God, the universe, multiple gods, we have been given that ability. So that means that I think the man is supposed to protect, provide, and keep the family safe,
Mhm.
so that I can focus on the motherly things that I was
Yep.
designed, my body was designed to do.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
totally agree with you there. I was raised more traditional in that sense, and I feel that like calling, that yearning in me to like protect or provide or like,
Mhm.
oh, like and I'm more attracted to a feminine, in her feminine type of female, and I think it's just the natural seat I sit in. But the Dutch thing is interesting because my partner right now, she's Dutch, and so it's interesting to see that perspective, because I was so used to like, okay, Vancouver girls are a whole thing, like where I grew up,
Really?
it's a whole
Okay.
thing. You're very expected to pay for everything, and then
Mhm.
but there wasn't a lot of reciprocity in kind of the actions.
Yeah.
It's very expected the guys pay for everything and fancy shit too. It's a
Mhm.
fancy place, right? So it's a whole situation. I don't want to rag on them too hard. There's some gems out there, but oh my god! And so then being with someone who's like, no, we'll pay for half. I'll pay for half,
Mm.
and I make much more money than her. And I was like, no, like I got this. Don't worry about
Yeah.
it. I'm happy to pay for everything. Like it's okay. She's like, no, I pay for half. And like,
I can see the Dutch like,
yeah,
nay.
very
Yeah.
Dutch, and I never experienced that before.
Yeah, yeah.
So I was like, like, how do I handle this? Like, is this an attack on my masculinity? Actually, it's pretty cool, but also like I want to take care of things.
Yeah.
But I had respect for her very quickly because of that.
Mhm.
Like, no, like you got it the last 3 times. This one I'm getting.
Yeah.
And like, sit down. Don't offend me. Like, I'm paying for this one. Don't offend me. Like she's like,
Mhm.
like serious about it, not just like pretending to reach for her
Yeah.
purse, which the Vancouver girls that I dated, like, sorry, I know of, wouldn't even do that sometimes. So they just the bill would come and they'd be like, kind of like expect you to pay for it.
Mhm.
At least pretend girls to reach for the purse. That's all I want. All I want
I
is
don't, darling. I don't.
You don't pretend to reach for the purse?
No.
You just let them handle it?
No. I look at you and I let you handle it, and then I say thank you so much for dinner.
That's a boss move.
Yeah.
But what about the going Dutch thing? Like,
So that I 100%, this is why I said I changed so much. 4 years ago, probably still, if I would go on a date with someone, I would offer to pay half.
yeah.
If they would accept it, I would not see them again though. But
wow. I mean,
it's kind of like a test more anyways.
The
But
going half thing's
you
not
know.
cool. Like going Dutch, but I believe it should be more around like, I'll get this one, you get the next one
I
type
think
of situation.
it
Not
depends. I think it depends so much.
okay.
Yeah. Because it's like, okay, we go for a date.
Yeah.
So if you take me to a nice place, I will spend a lot of time getting ready, looking really nice.
Yeah.
That is all my time. If you calculate how much or beauty stuff everything costs, getting your nails done, like
Sure.
I don't do anything else, like actually just my nails, and it's my natural nails. But let's imagine, right, all of these things, and this is the argument from, like, let's say a lot of the women, right, that costs a lot of money. It costs our time to get ready. It's not like we just 5 minutes we go out of the door. Then it's an energy exchange. I give you my feminine energy.
Mhm.
It's also a currency. I give you my time. And then if you, I would say, are high value women, you give your intelligence, you give your conversation, you make a man feel in his masculine. It's like, that is also in a way a transaction.
Yeah. I see that side of things totally, and I grew up like this as well. But also, I'm like, what about my masculine energy? It took a long
Yeah.
time to learn kickboxing, and just in case people tried to rob us, I'd kick their ass. Like,
Yeah,
fuck,
okay.
that took
We
years.
need some demonstrations
Yeah,
now.
I've
Yeah,
what's
you know?
and so it was like what about what I
Yeah.
bring to the table? Plus, I got to pay
Yeah.
for everything. So it
Yeah.
was like, and there's all these societal expectations of
Mhm.
men to be a somebody and have a nice car, and to
Yeah.
it's a lot of pressure.
Yeah,
So it's
yeah,
like, hey, there's that energy exchange as well. But I am on your
yeah.
side ultimately on the situation. But I like to play both sides. And
No, I understand it. I understand it. And of course, for a high value man,
yeah,
right? So that means he can protect, he can provide.
yeah,
So he goes gym, he's healthy. That of course also takes time.
yeah,
Totally, totally. I think it's also the sense of, are you dating to marry or not?
yeah.
So if I'm dating to marry and the guy wants to split on the first date, I can already see my whole future. It means I will have to keep working, and
Yeah,
I might even be the main breadwinner.
yeah, yeah.
So that's also for me, it's just a filter,
I think
you
that's a
know?
very
And
no
if
no.
they respect me so much and they see my value, who I am,
Yeah,
then I think they would also not want me to pay for it. You
yeah,
know what I mean? Because they want to also show that they can, provide.
yeah.
So, but if you go on a date, like you go have drinks in Sandbar or whatever, okay, sure, then you do. I pay for this drink, you the next one. But that is not necessarily then maybe dating to marry. That's like just having a fun time. It's
Sure,
an
sure, sure.
exchange.
Yeah,
I just don't do that anymore.
yeah, yeah. Fair, 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 fair. I get
But
what you're
I've
saying.
been there. That's what I say. I've been there. And then I feel like, yeah, you could do that you just like, get rounds or whatever.
Yeah,
Or we have a date here, you pay, I pay. But I think, yeah, if it's with the outlook of like wanting to focus on being a wife and a mom, then I would just not. Yeah.
it's interesting from that perspective because I'm so used to just paying for everything.
Yeah.
And then, like I was saying, when she was like, okay, you paid for the last 4 or 5 things, I'm
Mm-hmm.
getting this one. I
Mm-hmm.
found that so like, wow, she'd be a great partner because she thinks about this type of
Mm-hmm.
thing. She's like, no, you paid for all the things. Let me pay for one.
Mm-hmm.
Like give me the honor of paying for something. And I was like, that's so sweet. And I just really valued that was a really
Mm-hmm.
sweet thing to do, because usually it wouldn't even be like not even pretending to want to pay for something like
Yeah,
that kind of
yeah, yeah.
situation. I think that's like a Indian culture thing too.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, to pretend to do that. Like, no, 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 no. Like if a relative gives
Oh,
you a
yeah, yeah,
gift,
yeah. True.
you have to say
True.
no like 3 times
Yeah.
before you accept the
Yeah.
gift from the relative. It's like a whole thing.
True.
So I was like, okay, I appreciated that she wanted to take care of things. Like
I think
that,
also you guys are in a relationship.
there you go.
So
But I'm talking
okay.
about the
Yeah,
courting
yeah, yeah.
process.
Okay, okay.
So yeah,
Yeah.
that was the next question I wanted to bring up
Okay.
for sure. Was okay, courting process. So
Yeah.
like say first month,
Yeah.
and that's like an important time because if the guy splits it the first bill or makes you pay for it, it's over. He's not getting a second date.
Well, I mean, it's more like for me, that already shows then his mindset.
I agree.
However, this is what I was gonna say. When you're in a relationship with someone, I would do it more out of a cutesy thing. So, like you said, it's an act of service. Actually,
Yeah, yeah,
it's
yeah,
not
yeah.
about the transaction.
No.
So, let's say we go on a road trip, and you want to get a coffee or something. I'll say no, 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 just wait. I will go and I will pay for the coffees for us.
Yeah.
This is more act of service. It's showing I care. It's showing that I don't just take your money for everything.
Yeah.
But at the same time, for big life decisions or to protect and provide, you have my back.
Mm-hmm.
But of course, I will pay sometimes. But it's more out of a, cute way, showing act of service,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
And it's again the question, like if, I think it's both sides. The question of, having it all. So it's a side of, okay, as a woman, if I have to work or build a business and you want me to clean and you want me to cook and you don't want me to complain at you after your work day, but I also had a work day, but you want to rest and you want a peaceful life, right? You hear that so much. I'm just looking for peace. It's like, if you're looking for peace, give your woman a peaceful environment where she doesn't have to stress and work and all of those things. Then you can have peace.
Mm-hmm.
And then it's true. If you come home after you work the whole day, I understand you don't want then your wife or girl to add more problems on top. So if you help me to have a life where I have less problems, I can be that feminine energy that brings you a cup of tea, that cheers you up, And I think it's the same way with the men. It's like, okay, sometimes you hear that, the guys, they want to go 50-50. Okay. But at the same time, they still expect the wife then to do all the cooking, all the cleaning, all the household, and the children. And she has to work. And then if we look at the biological level, it is not fair because we don't have testosterone as equally as you guys, or those spikes where we can wake up at 5 a.m. Let's go to work. You guys, a healthy man has that. We have it only in a specific part of the cycle where we feel like that. The rest of our menstrual cycle, we are supposed to be more. So it's like that way of like, okay, then men want to have it all. So they want the wife who doesn't complain, sits down, just listens, brings, oh, please smile more. I will smile more if I don't have any problems.
Sure.
So then take my problems and I will smile the whole day.
That's so funny.
You know?
The first thing that like comes up to my head when that like, please smile more, I would say back if I was like, be funnier then.
Yeah.
Like
Also.
that's the first thing I think. It was like, because like I like to really make the people around me laugh. Like that's important for me, really. And if the people around me don't laugh, it's either they don't get my jokes, like there's not a connection there for us to ping pong off each other with some humor. But like to ask someone to smile more is like,
well, I see it a lot, you know,
crazy,
like on socials and things like that. It's this thing of like, yeah, girls are always complaining or nagging, smile more, but it's like, what do you want the girl to do if she worked like 8 hours and then you both come home, you sit on the couch and you expect her to cook and clean still?
Sure,
then everything should be equal. Then you guys should also do equal cooking, equal cleaning.
Sure.
Right? And then I will also learn karate. Okay. So I can also protect, right? That's what I mean. That is like, that is if we're talking 50-50, then yeah.
Well, I mean, how's your karate coming along?
I'm better at kickboxing.
Yeah. I love that. So, you know, that's a lot to cover there in the sense of relationships and energetic exchanges, and then modern dating in this world. Like, okay, what type of woman should be with what type of man? And then there's, you know, a lot more progressive people out there. And I think it's a lot more difficult in the West with a lot of people listening that like rent is expensive. Like bills are fucking expensive. Both people are going to need to work in 2024. 2025 coming up. It's like, this is just how things work. So men also need to then kind of take care of the little things, like share the burden on all fronts. Luckily, we're in Bali, and so it's quite cheap to have people come clean your house, and that's like a lot of those things. So I've got messy habits now. Like when I lived on my own in Canada,
it would be,
I was like, who's gonna clean this up? For 1 year I lived in Canada, and I was like, I'm not cleaning this up. What are you talking about? I'm fucking busy. And then I realized, I'm like, wow, I lived in Bali 7 years. I had a cleaner. So I just leave dishes in the sink.
That's true.
And so it drives people crazy. Like, what are you doing?
That's where I say a little bit about the lifestyle.
Yeah.
Like I cannot imagining myself moving back to Amsterdam and dating someone who just works is a banker or something.
Sure.
And then me having to like clean myself again, because here in Bali we have cleaners.
It's a great lifestyle.
So your lifestyle is good. And if you want to maintain that, then for any other country you would have to make a lot of money to have a cleaner.
Triple what you make out here. It's literally like a triple. It was difficult. Like overhead expenses just in Vancouver, just to have an apartment downtown and a car and live an okay life. It was like $7,000 to $10,000 just to pay for shit. Yeah. I was like, this is so crazy expensive out there. It's wild.
It's true.
Vancouver's expensive.
Yeah.
And so I get it. It bred an entire kind of section where the women have learned that behavior, the men have learned that behavior. The priorities are a lot different. Yeah. And so I saw what it was doing. Where also when you brought up though, this was an interesting topic when you brought out, well, I get to bring my feminine energy. Me getting ready and looking this beautiful is energy going into the situation. So I believe the man should pay for it. And I was like, that's an interesting concept, because I get it. Like I do understand that situation. So I do understand that. And if we're going somewhere nice and I invited you, like the man should pay, of course. And that's during the courting process. Absolutely.
Yeah.
What about 3 months in a relationship? What do you think then? Like your boyfriend, girlfriend now.
Yeah.
You're dating. You're in love.
Yeah. So I think going for a date, still, I think the man pays.
Yeah.
But it's because of the feeling that we get. It's like, oh, my man is taking me out.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
It's a feeling thing. But like I said, I have still businesses now. I probably will not completely stop, or I will make it more passive. So it means I will also make money. So, you know, this is also a conversation of like, for example, what I think about the prenup, right? So I'm still going to be making money in some way, most likely, or obviously I have, the capital I gained now. So does that mean that all of that is just mine and the guy has to pay everything? No, it means that we are building still also a legacy together. So that goes into, for example, a trust fund for our family, because that's also one of my goals, to build generational wealth. And of course, I would contribute to that in however I can, either by supporting his business endeavors or by continuing in some way the ones that I have set up, right? So in that way, I think it will just be different in a way that you have certain activities that you do that bring that dating relationship feeling. Then I definitely think I would just not be attracted to you if I would have to pay for dinner. Yeah, I would just not. Or if we go on a trip somewhere and it's like, and I pay for everything. However, when it's your birthday or something, or I want to do something special, then I also go really big, Or like I said, there are small things. If I go shopping, I would also buy things for my partner, things like that. And that's, again, more than an act of service, like showing like I thought about you. I was in the mall and I thought about you. So I got you this.
That's sweet.
Right? That's the feeling. But if we're somewhere together and you bring me with you, then I think energetically I'm more attracted if the guy would pay for it. Even doesn't matter how many months in relationship. But bigger things are more family decisions now. So it can be our mutual fund that we are both building up for our family, for our future. Making decisions such as buying houses, real estate, properties. That can still be something that I would contribute to if it's like a family, let's say, decision or investment, So I think it depends. Yeah.
Very interesting.
But of course, if I be a billionaire, then I don't want to pay for anything.
I mean, would you change your...
I would still pay for the small things though, but again, act of service.
Yeah.
And he would probably think, oh, she's cute.
Yeah.
That's the reaction.
That's sweet.
Yeah.
Okay. A tall billionaire that's definitely, has lots of businesses that, got it. You were an influencer before, and we were talking about social media before we put on. We're both kind of tired of putting out content in the sense that what it's doing to our brains and mental health, and we can feel and see that. Like our mental health is skewing a little bit, and I feel like the more time I'm on the platform and putting out content, I'm enjoying it a little less now, where I'm like, I just want to live my life. Like I went to a meditation retreat last week, and I fucking just love trees and I love flowers, and I was like, this is great. I just want to do this. Like I really enjoy just living life right now, and I would like to do that for the rest of my life. I don't want to be consistently feeding the algorithm, and I don't really enjoy that as much anymore. Whereas I want to put out inspiring content and help people, but I don't want to give a fuck about how it did.
Yeah, exactly.
And to how it did. Oh, the posts that do better are like high quality posts with tattoos showing and me. Or for women, of course, as you were saying, you're posted better when you were in a bikini, and then you didn't want to do it anymore. You went through a shift, right?
Yeah.
Tell us about that transition for you and what social media was doing for you.
Yeah, for sure. So starting as a travel blogger, it was actually when I studied in Bali for 3 months and 3 months in Bangkok. And I just started posting landscapes, and I was seeing, oh, I'm getting followers. I was like, what is this? And this was 2017. So it was pretty new, It was a good time. And I was growing that. And then I became really this, travel blogger, let's say, and posting blogs and articles about locations. So it would be like a beautiful landscape. And the caption would be like, if you go to this place, make sure you keep in mind this is the directions, like information and value. But the more you start posting, the more you start realizing what performs better, like you said as well. So then it progressed from landscape to if I was in the landscape too. So still very innocent. Just me somewhere, like a beautiful nature. Okay. So then you actually reprogram subconsciously your mind to understand that gets more attention and likes, which gives us dopamine and endorphins. So we get addicted to that. And then it's progressed into, okay, what I was wearing, certain things I was wearing or poses or how I looked would also make better engagement. So slowly you start to shift. Then it was the more revealing, sexy or beautiful or whatever, attractive. And then it went towards that way. And my bikini picture was still very vanilla though, but it was not like the posing. It was still like cute, like travel style, let's say.
Tasteful bikini
like
pictures.
On a waterfall, like kind of in the back,
Okay.
But still, you would see that would perform better.
Yeah.
So in the end of the day, you realize that you are conforming to what other people like more instead of what you genuinely enjoy. And this is something that we cannot stop. And it doesn't just happen to influencers, it happens to all of us. And conformity, because this is what I speak about in my book and my TEDx talk that is going to come out. So conformism has always been a part of any society, right? So it just is a survival instinct. If you have two caves and one guy goes into the left cave and he comes out without an arm. The right cave, a guy comes in and comes back with fruit. Which cave will you choose? Most likely that one to survive. But then the joke is entrepreneurs will still go into the left one. But you know, so you can actually learn to deprogram yourself from conformity, but it's hard. It's in our nature. And it's the same on social media. But now we play on such a large scale that whatever gets the like the most and gets the most attention gets perceived as good, correct, or something to do. And this is how you start to change yourself, because you start to post the things that get the most likes, but also how a lot of the younger generation is making some decisions that change in the end the societal norms. So for example, now girls are competing with plastic surgery, filters, Photoshop, because that is the content that gets liked the most. So especially younger generation, they see these unrealistic beauty standards, compare themselves to it and think they're not good enough, but they're competing with basically, you know, social media likes actually. And it does slowly, subconsciously reprogram your mind to think, I should have lips like that. I should have a body like that.
Totally.
Right?
I mean, did you see how the Kardashians started off before surgery?
Yes.
And then how they are now?
Yes.
And then how many women are doing surgeries to look like them?
Exactly.
This is crazy. And to see how they started off, you're like, they're completely different humans.
Exactly.
So it's a wild like phenomenon to see, and how that's
Yeah.
pervading into society and how girls want to look like that.
I think we're gonna have a comeback though. I have a feeling. So, I mean, I think now men are seeing this and they are more attracted, or some of them at least, to natural girls. It's because now natural becomes the not so common thing. You know what I mean? So
I know
first
exactly
that
what you
was the
mean.
extreme, was the not so common. So everyone liked it the most and gravitated towards it. Now we kind of have a shift. But even for me, I was in Dubai for 2 weeks. I actually liked it. I didn't realize I would actually enjoy being in Dubai. But it's true. If you see everywhere picture perfect girls, and you're like, how did they get those cheekbones like that? Or no, you know, like no dark circles at all, perfect skin, like the lips. And yeah, you start to compare yourself. You're like, oh, I don't have that. And then that is like going against conformity, which is like, you should remind yourself, like, no, but you don't want to be like everyone else. You want to stay yourself, you know? But imagine I have that at 26. Girls on social media are now how young?
Oh, they got it at 18. I'm like, whoa.
No, younger. I think girls 13 have Instagram, right?
Oh, I was talking about surgery.
Okay, like, no, but like 13 seeing that, right?
Oh, for sure.
And getting already, you know, this whole mindset change about what someone should look like.
The thing, we were talking about this before, the thing that really bothers me is girls that are like 18, because I think you got to be 18 to get OnlyFans, but that's like the way to make money at that age. And then that shit's going to be on the internet for the rest of your life. Like, it's like, oh man, like, don't do it. Like you're too young. Like, it's you're going to probably change your mind after a couple of years feeling used and empty, that you know, felt like you sold your soul or something in some of the cases. And then you're like, that's on the internet forever. Like, now what?
True.
And then what's going to happen? And then you're probably going to be bought into the system, because you're like, well, I just might as well keep going, and I just have to go on and do this. And so I've had friends of mine that started off with just OnlyFans. Or first it was Instagram influencer life, then it get more revealing photos, and then they might as well get an Instagram because they had a following already. They got because they played the algorithm, so they got a following. So then they got Instagram, and then I saw them. Then they got OnlyFans, and then their OnlyFans was generating cash. But then they started off just with a little bit revealing. And then
it gets more and more.
And then you need to get more money and go more extreme. So then there was like, oh, I'll do a masturbation video. And then it was more and more and more. And then it's like a boy-girl video. Now you're doing porn on OnlyFans.
Exactly.
And then they're on Pornhub. It went to like professional porn. And so I seen one of my friends go through this whole arc. And I was like, damn, like this is just like a crazy situation, because I know her. And seeing it still under the realm of like empowerment, female empowerment, and that was what she was talking about.
Yeah.
This is feminine empowerment, this is tantra. And I was like, okay, like I want to be like, I want to support you as a friend, like do you, but I also feel really like, oh, like, yo, this is up there forever. Like, and
Yeah.
am I being an insecure masculine then? I'm like, I don't know if you should be doing this. Like, I'm not supporting the feminine. I feel like conflicted about it because it's,
I know,
you know
yeah.
what I'm saying? And I'm like, well, how should I feel about this? And I'm like, well, I would never date that girl.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's just my honest truth though. I
Yeah.
just wouldn't do it.
Yeah.
That wouldn't be my wife.
But why?
I don't want my wife to be for everybody. I don't want dudes jerking off to my wife's photos. Like, it doesn't feel good for me.
Yeah.
Am I not like a progressive man enough if I don't want that? Fuck it. I'll own that.
Yeah.
I just don't want that. I don't want all my friends to be like, yeah, she took it like
She
a
looks
champ.
great. Yeah.
Worse. His boy chats are worse, right? So it's like, I don't want that
my
at all,
God.
right? So like that would fuck my head up.
Yes.
And so like I couldn't do it. And so we were talking about this beforehand. What's your opinion on all this?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's very closely related to influencer industry. It's like attention-driven business model, which means the currency is not money, the currency is attention. So you first need to get attention, and then you will get money. In influencer industry, it's like getting brand deals. OnlyFans, it's obviously getting money for showing things and getting attention. And I think either case, it's so dangerous now that we label those things wrong. So let's say influencer industry, I think there's misinformation and not enough transparency about what it does to your brain, like how deep social media addiction goes. And OnlyFans, there's not enough disclaimers about how much money they actually make.
Because you see a lot of them that are like, female boss babe entrepreneur made $57 million in 3 years, like the top percentages, right?
Yeah.
That are like making crazy money, like top 0.1%, bought a house in New Zealand and like I've seen these articles about these girls. And I was like, well, good for you. Like if you're already gonna do, this is bad language, I'm sorry. I was like, already do slutty shit. I mean, you might as well make money for it. It's like a fucked up way to think. I'm sorry. But I'm like, well, all right. But then the other end of it, like you're saying, that's a tiny sliver.
It's a very tiny percentage. So like if you actually research it, I think the average OnlyFans model maybe $150 to $300 a month.
Wow.
So that means, and again, let's track it back to young generation. Because when we're younger, we miss still part of our frontal lobe is not developed. We don't have this risk or reference, let's say, center that's strongly developed. That's why young people do more stupid shit.
Totally. You're not thinking long term here, yeah.
So you don't think long term. So a young girl struggling to make money, or she sees her mom working so hard every day, and this girl posts, I just made 1 million on OnlyFans. And now everyone is saying, wow, you go girl, women empowerment. So we're kind of getting like, it's propaganda. We're getting like, pushed to think that this is a good way out. Whereas this girl is not disclaiming how much people actually make. Or, hey, here are the dangers of actually doing this. This is how it changes your whole psychology on dating. Your whole perspective on relationships will change as soon as you become, an OnlyFans model, let's say. And I'm talking explicit content. I know some people are teaching cooking on there or whatever. And they always come for me that in the comments, like, not everyone posts explicit content on OnlyFans. I'm like, okay, sure. But I'm talking about that, right?
I don't know anybody who fucking does cooking on OnlyFans. That isn't naked also.
But it's mostly for that, right?
Yeah,
what I'm talking about is like, going that route because they think it's an easy way to make money.
Yeah.
And then they're like, oh, fuck it. It's human or women empowerment. Let me just take off my shirt.
Yeah.
But it doesn't stop there because they get some money. So now they're reprogramming themselves. More attention is more money. What can I do for more attention? Another photo, this, that, and it escalates like this. And especially younger generation, they do not see this escalation as clear because they just miss that whole long-term view and what it actually does to our brain. And I think if you get so used to this transactional behavior of, if I show this, I get that, what happens when you date a normal guy? Or if you're a porn star, that's the level of sex and everything you get used to. How is that affecting your real relationship? Or what's it going to do when your kids see your videos?
Yeah.
So I think, again, still everyone should do what they want to do. I support it. If you want to do it, go for it. But I think there needs to be more clear communication and transparency so that we don't glorify it. I think that's the problem. I'm from the Netherlands. We have legal sex work. It's a profession, sure. If you want to do it, do it. but we don't glorify it though.
Interesting.
It's not something that we promote. Hey, in school, we're going to have a class now from a prostitute. This is one of the jobs you can take. You can make so much. You do this. We don't glorify it. Social media is glorifying OnlyFans.
And
that's the problem.
Yeah.
And women empowerment is like, but who is the majority that is paying for your videos? It's the guys. So who are we empowering? Women or men are paying us to show things?
Do you think that they are entrepreneurs then, in that sense?
That's a good question too. And I think, someone asked me this before about this whole, did I boss babe too far? So if you're, let's say you're OnlyFans model and you're making 7 figures now, and now you also have the realization that you would love to start a family. Is it a different story than the business I built? What do you think?
Yeah. In the sense though, I feel like you're gonna get a different type of guy. And this is a fucking massive generalization here. So hey guys, don't shoot me if I'm wrong. This is my stupid fucking opinion. What do I know, really? I feel like a guy who's gonna be okay with a girl who has a massive OnlyFans following and has done many extremely hardcore explicit videos. He's going to be a different type of person that's wired a little bit different than someone who's going to be going after a successful entrepreneur that also has the acuity to hold down that type of relationship. Like there's just different things happening on both sides of stages. And from my extremely subjective opinion, there's a lot more conflict and dysfunction in a hypersexualized environment. And there's a lot more of like, from what I've seen in my experiences in these worlds, is there's a lot more trauma that hasn't been unanswered. There's a lot more of anything hypersexualized. There's usually some sort of childhood trauma associated with it. And so it's going to be great sex, but demons underneath it, in the sense of unresolved patterns and issues that then come out later in a lot of drug use, or come out later in a lot of dysfunction and the inability to be happy with the mundane. And I think right now in my life, I've really seen it's a fucking art form and a skill to be happy with the mundane, to be okay with the simple things.
Because we have so many
hypersensory input. It's crazy, right? So just like the OnlyFans thing starts off with, you might show a nipple, or start off with just lingerie and then a thong and then a nipple, and then pretty soon, you're multiple dudes or something. It's like it could escalate extremely intensely. And so it's like, okay, there's that. And then there's having a family and having like a normal family. And then my buddies who are in successful relationships, that are married, that are millionaires, that are all they want to do, or even that aren't millionaires, that are just getting by. But now they're just happy taking their kids to the park. And Friday night they rented a movie or watched Netflix, or just went out to eat. And then they're in bed by 9 and their life is so simple. I'm like, we caught a sunset. It was great. And it's like a very different situation.
Totally.
And I think it's more gangster, using that term as in like it's cooler to be happy with the simple shit in life. And that's the route I'm going into life. Because I did live a very crazy, chaotic, sex-filled, drug-filled 20s. Like I was a drug dealer in my early 20s. I know we just met, but I was like a full-on drug dealer living a rap music video type lifestyle. So I had the full sensory output. It was crazy. And I had friends and customers that were strippers, and I heard a lot about their lives. And it was like very interesting. So I was friends with sex workers, and I heard a lot about their lives, because I felt like drug dealers and strippers were in the same realm of things. We're all hustling. And so I get it. It's something that we don't feel super proud of at the time, but also we're making lots of cash and we're at that age. And so like I have a lot of love for them. We were in the same game, as I would put it. And then everything was hypersensory. And then the small things don't really make us happy as much anymore, because I don't remember as much just enjoying trees or breath or sunlight and just simple shit as much, and really being present with my friends. It wasn't like that. Whereas now I want and I long for having a calm mind. And nourishing a calm mind and being around quality friends and enjoying real laughter and love and these things. I'm like, oh, that's the flex. Like that's way cooler now. Like, did you enjoy your life today? Is like the coolest shit. And so I'm like, that's the process I went through. So in a long roundabout answer, I think someone who's been super successful in that like porno style industry, or even in the drug game, I still have friends who are successful drug dealers, and their lives are like supercars, Ferraris and Rolls Royces and crazy shit, but I hope that they enjoy sunsets. Like I hope they enjoy the little things too. And
Yeah.
and I don't see it as much.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
kind of where I'm at
Yeah.
with that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, makes sense. Makes sense. I think that's also the hard thing about getting out.
Mhm.
So some of those people might have realizations of like, for example, even I know someone who was a stripper. Well, actually, so in my program, I teach people how to work online. So we talk to lots of different people.
Great.
So someone who was a stripper and she was making now, I think, like 10 grand a month with that. So now she wanted to start a business. So she came to us to see if she wanted to become freelancer. But she was like, yeah, if it's not going to make me 10K right away, I will not stop being a stripper. But at the same time, she wants to stop doing that because she feels it's unethical. She wants to have children.
Sure.
So if you get used to a certain amount of income or lifestyle, it's harder to get out of as well.
I know exactly what you mean.
Yeah.
It was hard
Unless you start a business and you get the same income, but it's more ethical, I guess, or it's more aligned with your values and your morals.
Totally.
Let's say.
I went through exactly that process. But I was so sick of the drug game and how hectic and crazy it was that I was like, I don't even care at this point if I made 50 grand a year after when I left.
Yeah.
I was like, I just will run a little Airbnb bed and breakfast in Bali.
Yeah.
I made it out alive. It's okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I was like, fuck it. It's
Yeah,
gonna be
yeah.
okay if that. And luckily that wasn't like things turned out much better than that.
Yeah.
So that's cool. But I remember I had to go through this ego thing because I was more addicted to the money and the power than I was the actual like anything else, because I was like, it made me a somebody.
Yeah.
So I understand, or it made me think I was a somebody. So I understand where this hook to OnlyFans. I get it, because then these girls who maybe they didn't have like much else going on in their lives other than their beauty as a transaction, like their sexuality as a transaction, finally they have self-worth via this new purse they got to buy, or the car that they wanted, or like it's empowered.
Or they think they will get it, and once they're there, they might realize.
If they're the
else.
super top 1% of it. So as you're saying, they don't actually make that much money.
Yeah.
So, but maybe there's not a lot of opportunities otherwise. So that's like a way to earn. So like,
True.
I get it. I don't knock the hustle. I understand that if this is a route to make money and the economy sucks and it's hard and you don't want to work at McDonald's or whatever, it's like, look, I get it. But also, as someone who was a drug dealer for so long, I get the tail end effects of things, the karma I've had to clear and continue having to clear. It took work. There's a lot of conditioning and takes work. There's a lot of conditioning that I had to like unsell the drugs.
Yeah, exactly. Unlearn.
Had to do a lot of work,
Totally.
and still have to do a lot of work, and still see the way my mind is
Yeah.
patterned and wired, that
Yeah.
I'm like, that ain't normal. This is not how normal people think. And so I like really had to like do that, and I see like, what would it be like, if I never did that? I wonder what my mind would be like if I never did that.
Yeah.
I'm grateful
I get
for where
it.
I'm at, but I know that there's adverse effects.
I get it. Yeah.
You
And I
know?
think that's the thing. That's why it's good to talk about.
Yeah.
So people know, one, it looks maybe better than that it actually is getting there.
Yeah, sure.
Plus that not everyone gets there. So you might make $100 a month showing all of your everything. And you will keep pushing, but that once you even get success, you might still not feel fulfilled.
Yeah.
And you have now a whole load of new problems as well.
Yeah.
And I looked back as well at why did I want to become influencer? It's the lifestyle. So I wanted to work remote and travel the world. And I think now we have so much more other online business opportunities that people can get into. And I think that's also good to raise awareness about that. Like, you don't have to be an influencer. You don't have to become a Kim Kardashian celebrity. You don't have to do OnlyFans to achieve, financial and location and time freedom. There's too many other business models online now where you don't have so many negative mental effects and, everything
There's
that
so
comes
much more
with
out
it.
there, yeah.
So there's much better business models is what I'm saying,
Yeah.
So, but what they want is the lifestyle. And that's even why in my content, I also in some content flex the lifestyle to show you can learn marketing skills and still have an epic lifestyle. You don't need to sell your soul and become an influencer or OnlyFans or whatever else, there's much more mundane ways, I guess, to do it.
I love
as
that.
well.
Because I like helping drug dealers do new things. So I
Yeah.
have a bunch of I do personal coaching and,
Cool.
and help them launch businesses
Yeah.
and start new things in life and pick a goal and actually achieve it. And I love it when I help people who are on
Yeah.
the fringe of society
Yeah.
because I get it. I was there, so I understand. Like I get where
Yeah.
they're at, and so it makes me really, really happy to be able to help like drug dealers
Exactly.
and people, anybody on the fringe. I've had prostitutes in my coaching programs. I've had Playboy models,
Mm.
OnlyFans girls. Like I got love for them, but they all want something else, and
Yeah.
they all see the adverse tail effects of the karma that they feel like they're
Yeah.
accruing,
Yeah.
or the negative mental health that they're experiencing because of what they're doing, and they want something different, but they want the lifestyle. So it's like
Exactly.
I
Yeah.
love that you teach that, and I love that that's a big part of my life is like this lifestyle is out there.
Yeah.
There's other ways to get it, and it's just a different route. Maybe it's not as easy as the other ones, but I don't think it is easy because of if you actually look at the tail end effects of what
Yep.
is happening in both of those worlds,
And
there's
the
lots
reality of
lots
the
of consequences.
earnings,
Yeah,
you
yeah,
know.
yeah,
So
yeah.
yeah, it shouldn't be as glorified as it is, or like as, you know,
I
let's
think
say
I
more
think
transparency.
more transparency.
Yeah.
I feel like, if it's doing good, great. They can glorify it in a way, but also sell the full image,
Yeah.
like cigarettes.
Yeah.
Like that kind of thing. Like, hey, look, like vapes.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's like cool. A lot of people are vaping right now, but that's ruining your gums and lowering your
Yeah.
testosterone. And now there's more
True.
information coming up about
Yeah.
it, and it helps
Yeah.
people have like a full picture. So I think that's cool.
Yeah. And like labeling it as feminism and women empowerment, I think is also dangerous.
That's a stretch for me.
Because
Yeah.
now we reprogram younger kids to really grow up thinking that you're empowering women by being on OnlyFans.
Yeah.
And I think that's a dangerous message.
There's a lot of crazy shit being indoctrinated in kids, like just a lot of crazy shit that they're like, this is progressive and new. And I'm like, yo, like I don't want my kid anywhere around this stuff.
Yes.
And then I feel like a bigot. And I'm like, I love everybody. I don't care what you do. Like as long as you're cool and you're a nice person, and like you're not making my life difficult and you're not hurting other people. Okay. But don't fuck with the kids. That's like a big part of like, just leave the kids
and they
alone.
are just more sensitive to be manipulated. So
of course.
it's also, I mean, there's more controversial topics.
Yeah. This is a rabbit hole. We're touching on a rabbit hole. We said we were gonna try not to get canceled on this podcast this time.
But it's
also,
like
don't be a cat.
Yeah, but it's like, they're just more sensitive. So I'm the same. It's not that I don't respect people who choose that life, or I will not be kind to you. I will be kind to you, and I will hear your story. And, maybe you are probably an amazing human being. But does it mean that I want my kids to hear about it and see it and get promoted with it and like think that is the best way? No. I think they should have all options, and I think they should understand all the consequences and then do whatever they want.
I disagree with you.
Yeah.
I don't think the kids should have the option of being a cat.
No,
like, this is a thing.
Or broccoli. No, I know.
You've heard of this shit?
Yeah,
broccoli
yeah.
I haven't heard of. Like, they identify as broccoli.
Yeah, there's a guy who identifies as broccoli.
Fucking come on. Like, look, if you're going to identify as broccoli, you're not helping the human race. And there doesn't need to be broccoli kids running around. We don't need those humans.
That's true, because if you hear the option, you think you will choose it because you're confused, or maybe you're just like hormonal, or like you're just a kid growing up and you have lots of thoughts, and that's,
You're like, going to school to become a doctor looks like hard work. Broccoli looks chill.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like, or like cats are a thing.
Yeah.
And it's just like, we don't need cat people.
Yeah.
Like, it's just not necessary for the taxpayers to be paying for cat people. We need firefighters and nurses and doctors and people that help the society and glue together. People who think they're a cat generally aren't going to be cool. Like, in this, they're just going to be a pain in the ass.
Yeah.
And they're going to be upset that I don't acknowledge their scratching post.
Yeah.
And it's just like, I love people, but I'm not. That's where my line is. Like, I don't want to hear you out. Like, I'm sorry, I just don't.
Well, I think especially, at least what I read from, America, that it gets brought into schools. I think that's the danger.
I have school teacher friends in Vancouver when I was just back for that year. One of my best friends, she's a school teacher, and she was telling me about this thing is a real issue, and that they're putting scratching posts and kitty litter boxes in school in the elementary schools.
Yeah.
I was like, no, like, and then if you're against it, you're a hater, or what do you call you? It's a hate crime or some shit. It's just like, that's insane.
Well, it is a rabbit hole.
Yeah.
But let's say my thoughts summarized is because it's very close, right? It's the same with, for example, being transgender. I fully respect it, and I do believe there's people who feel really like they're in the wrong body.
Yeah.
This is like a disease, I
I
guess.
agree.
I agree with it. However, I do also think if we bring this in too early
Yeah.
and we really give these options, that people will feel just emotionally confused because they're literally a child growing up or
Yeah.
anything else. They might, and you hear that now, they almost get now pushed
Yeah.
to change their gender, and they regret it years later because of all the
They're suing the
complications,
doctors,
all
yeah.
the surgeries.
Huge suicide
And there
rate
was
now.
even, this story where a girl, outside of her parents, she was able to consult with like the school, how do you call it? Like a school counselor.
Yeah.
And the counselor got her on these, on the
Hormone blockers.
drugs
Yeah.
without the parents knowing.
That's crazy.
And then she eventually regretted it, the whole transition.
Yeah.
And she even said in her podcast, like, I was just confused. I just needed someone to tell me, like, you're just a kid, you're a teenager,
Yeah.
you're just growing up.
Wait it out.
And I believe, again, same for plastic surgery, do whatever makes you feel good in the end of the day.
Yeah.
But maybe, wait a little bit to see how your whole hormone, your thoughts, your mind, how everything shapes, you know? And if it's really, 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 really deep thought, then do it.
Yeah.
And you can
After
find
you're-
the information, but do we need to make classes and say, today, if you want to choose, you can be anything? I think that's dangerous, because when we give anyone too many options, you have a more likely chance to choose the wrong one in the end.
Absolutely.
You know?
Too many options. And
Yeah.
I think this is the same thing. Like, you're not allowed to drink before you're 19 in Canada. You're not allowed
Yeah.
to drive a car before you're 16. You're not allowed to get tattoos before you're 18.
Yeah.
If I was allowed to get tattoos when I was in elementary school, I'd have a giant fucking Charizard on my neck.
Exactly.
So it's
Oh my
like,
God,
I'd have
that's
a
a really-
Bulbasaur and like a Pokemon all over me.
That's
It's
a
like,
really good. That's a really good one. I really like that. That is so true.
It's
That
so
is
true.
so true.
It's too young.
And even now, so I have some tattoos, but very small. And I got them actually because of Bali, because here it's such an addictive thing,
Totally.
right?
Yeah.
But now, so I got them, I guess, 3 years ago. Now I'm like, oh, I wish I didn't. So I don't think I would get more, you know?
I get it.
But it's like our mind changes so often in our
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
perspective and our opinion that,
Totally.
I think just giving all
I
the
would
options
change my
is-
tattoos if I
is-
could. I have some that I wish I could change, and like I was young and stupid for some of them, and I was like, "Oh, you idiot!"
Yeah.
So like, imagine that was the choice of like,
like a 5-year-old or like a
Yeah.
10-year-old. Totally.
yeah, and just like making an like irreparable change to my sexuality. Oh my
Yeah.
God, like it's too much. Anyways, this is a massive rabbit hole.
I
I think we should
know.
do a second
Yeah,
podcast in a little while, and like tone this one down. Thank you so much for coming on. It was great to meet you. You're a keeper. I'm definitely going to hold you as one of my friends, because it's just an honor to meet you. And I love what you're about. And I love that you didn't boss babe too hard. You didn't be a boss, be you. I love it. In my opinion, what the fuck do I know? But that's what I feel. And thank you so much. It was brilliant to meet you. Everybody, please follow her on Instagram and let us know what you thought about this podcast. Even if you think we're being bigoted assholes at one part of it, or you agree with what we say, let us know your opinion. We'd love to hear it. Thank you for this episode of the Ink Pray Love podcast and supporting the podcast. Please give it a share. Do all the things that help us boost the algorithm that is feeding our empty souls. I mean, helping this message get out there. Sorry. Thank you so much.
True. Thank you for
Appreciate
having
it.
me. Thank you.
Peace, homies. Thank you so much for listening to this episode of the Ink Pray Love podcast. I hope you found it inspiring, entertaining, funny, and also feeling a little bit more present and connected to yourself. Please leave a review and like and subscribe and do all those things. I'd really appreciate that. As well as if you're feeling in a giving mood, this podcast is there for the charities that I love to support. Go to www.aaronbaya.com/charity and get some of those good karma points. This podcast is brought to you by Lighthouse Studios in Bali, as well as Full Reset Coaching. That is my coaching practice. And if you're looking for help in business, inner game impact, and building your legacy to be something you're proud of, your brand, your business, and how you walk the earth and who you impact, and also having the mindset and the heart set to be able to be happy handling it all, I'm here for you. Just DM me. Let's go. Peace out, homies. I'll see you on the next episode.